The Magic Show is brought to you by StarCityGames.com, and check this out. Scars of Mirrodin is coming soon, and StarCityGames.com is your source for boxes, cases, fat packs, intro packs, complete sets, and singles. Head on over to StarCityGames.com and pre-order Scars of Mirrodin today.
This is Pro Tour never mind, scratch that. Yeah, top 8, top 4, I don't know what I'm doing anymore. This is Brad Nelson, finalist at Pro Tour Amsterdam, and you're watching The Magic Show.
Hello everybody and welcome to another edition of The Magic Show. This week we're delving into the Scars of Mirrodin. The spoiler is complete, the set is unreal, and it's time to dissect what your new powerhouses are going to look like in the upcoming months, particularly for states as it happens next weekend. Let's go! Man, Scars is here. I've been waiting so long to say that. Yep, the artifact block returns, and we've got some crazy sexy cards to talk about. Are you ready? Let's start with Glinthawk. Now, this guy seems a little pushed to me, not in just being a 2/2 flyer for 1 white mana, but in his wacky combo-ness. Let's go ahead and enter the world of magical Christmas land, where we can see this guy be really, really absurd. Imagine you get this opening hand in Vintage. 4 Glinthawk, a Mox Pearl, a Black Lotus, and Tendrils of Agony. I don't know if you just realized it, but you just won the game. Let's see how. You play the Mox Pearl and a Glinthawk, you return the Mox Pearl. You play Pearl Hawk, Pearl Hawk, Pearl Hawk. Play the Black Lotus, Tendrils of Agony with 9 other copies. Good game. Yeah. Woo. Alright, seriously though, this guy is solid. What would you pick up for value? How about resetting Everflowing Chalice? How's about resetting Chimeric Mass? Speaking of, love Chimeric Mass. I have a feeling this will be a powerful player because of one amazing interaction. Trinket Mage. Yes, Trinket Mage is back and I am loving it. One of the coolest cards ever returns, and it has a ton of awesome new targets for its disposal. Searching for Chimeric Mass with Trinket Mage puts your opponent on a hell of a clock. How about having Vengevine in the yard and searching for Memnite Shyamalan, playing the Memnite, and here comes your favorite 4/3 ready to bash face? What about his brother, Riddlesmith? This guy is really, really good. Let's take a look at this cycle here. We have an entire Smith cycle, all triggering from you playing artifact spells. Beginning with the worst, the life gain one, Life Smith, we notice most of these require a mana cost in addition to the trigger. Also, thanks for reminding us how bad green cards used to get, Wizards. Jeez. Anyway, the red one pings and the white one is pretty sweet for limited, making a 1/1 mirror for you. But 2 have no cost associated with their trigger. The black one, that can give a bit of a boost, and Death Touch. But this guy, he draws you cards with no activation costs of any kind. Look at Merfolk Traders. Wow, have times changed. Now instead of having to pay 2 mana for a 1/1, we just play artifact spells and get to loot for free on top of it. Merfolk Looter was a sick first pick in M10 draft, and I think Riddlesmith is going to see plenty of constructed play. Why? Because things want to go to the graveyard. Whether it's Necrotic Ooze wanting to have the ability of Gigantomancer to Vengevine to Kuldotha Phoenix, there are all sorts of reasons cards need to get in there. How about as fuel for Molten Tail Masticore? This card is completely unreal, by the way, and will help define your new standard environment. You don't have to believe me, but trust me when I say this is one of the top 5 cards in the set, no question. This guy will be chomping up Squadron Hawks like nobody's business and causing you some serious headaches in combat. Let's say you swing all out with 6 mana available. Suddenly you can regenerate Masticore, and with any other creature that is killed, you pay 4 mana for your activated Flame Javelin. Seriously? 4 mana for 4 damage to a creature or a player? This guy has been pushed, and I hope you recognize it. But we need some control goodies, and look at what we have in Sunblast Angel. Wow, what a kick-ass card. Can you say Gideon Jura? I knew you could. Sunblast Angel is the perfect follow-up to his first ability or a well-timed sleep. Either way, wrathing even portions of your opponent's team and having a 4/5 flyer afterwards is pretty sweet. How about another fantastic white rare? Have you seen Leonin Arbiter? fan-freaking-tastic. Now, this creature will be seeing some serious vintage and legacy play. Can you imagine Aether Vialing this guy out while having their fetch land activation on the stack? That is filthy, ladies and gentlemen. Just filthy. And I love it. I am a huge advocate of White Weenie or White Aggro in any form, and I can assure you I was the most excited to see White Weenie take it home in Amsterdam. And this guy is ripe for messing with your opponent's ability to do things, my favorite kind of guy. That said, where's my Pithy Needle guy? I want this guy created yesterday. Why is he important? Let's take a look. For the next week or so, you'll still get to play with a Johnny Vengeant and Elspeth Knight Errant, and you have some seriously fantastic answers to them, including Pithy Needle, Oblivion Ring, and Maelstrom Pulse, all of which are leaving with the rotation. What's going to kill Planeswalkers before turn 5 besides a Vampire Hex Mage? And after turn 5, a World Queller, a Kicked Mold Shambler, a Terastodon? How about the sweet new rare Ratchet Bomb? While I love me some Ratchet Bomb, and I think it will see an incredible amount of play, the fact is that Planeswalkers have very few answers in this new standard, meaning that you better be playing some serious beat sticks or be prepared to lose to them. So, Ratchet Bomb, nice card. Finally, Powder Keg is upgraded to destroy enchantments and planeswalkers and can be actively controlled in regards to the amount of counters it has. It also has a sweet interaction with Voltaic Key, which is nice too. But let's bounce back to the colors. Argent Sphinx would have been the most ridiculous rare in Mirrodin ever because for one, you had artifact lands, and two, a little something called D on the S. Yeah, having damage on the stack, this guy would have been crazy. That said, the ability to blink him out, Day of Judgment, and have him right back in there is nice. Not to mention attacking, blinking after combat, and having him ready to block the next turn. They have some crazy huge monster, just block and blink. A good option to think about for blue decks, and also shows us how a 4/3 flyer for 4 mana with all upside doesn't immediately get us excited. I mean, look at Conundrum Sphinx and Indomitable Archangel. These cards should be blowing our minds with the power creep involved, but instead we shrug and just go, well, they might be good, but this Vengevine's a lot more dangerous. Oh, how jaded we have become. Moving on, how about Inexorable Tide? Oh man, I am afraid of a Planeswalker control deck that could potentially abuse this, but that said, it's probably regulated to kitchen tables. But what a kick-ass card it is. This is a complete all-star in EDH and will be super sweet as the years go on. It's the new doubling season, a card that could actually never be reprinted due to Planeswalker shenanigans. Shape Anew is pretty cool. It's polymorph, but for artifacts. This leads me to another sleeper hit, Precursor Golem, a card I had originally thought was the art for Glimmerpost, but let's look at what happens here. Suddenly you get 3 Shape Anews happening, so 3 chances to hit more Precursor Golems or Mirror Battlespheres or whatever. Speaking of, probably my favorite card in the set, Mirror Battlesphere is just solid gold. Let's look at this here, guys. 5 dudes, a total of 8 power and 11 toughness for 7 mana. Has anything ever remotely come close to this, particularly on an artifact creature? I don't think so. Go ahead, let's take a look. I see the crappy Altar Golem, there's Lotus Guardian. I mean, just look at a fully sunbursted Lunar Avenger, which can't even match Mirror Battlesphere's combined power. The closest artifact creature at 7 mana is probably Memnarch, and that requires a certain color and many activations. Just saying, watch out for the Battlesphere and its ability to completely steal games out of nowhere, particularly as its triggered ability goes directly to the dome. And that's not even counting the other amazing mirror you can use with its ability. How's about another favorite of mine in the set, Palladium Mirror? I like Worn Power Stone that attacks, don't you? How's about Mirror Propagator, a card that works pretty amazingly well with Necrotic Ooze? And yes, the ooze will copy itself. But let's throw one out for the Johnnies. Seen Semblance Anvil? Man, this card is ripe with potential. This card harkens back to Cloud Key, a card that did exactly nothing back on Future Sight but sure looks powerful. I'm a bit more excited about Semblance Anvil for 2 reasons. One, it drops the cost by 2, which means it's a fluctuator for cards that you imprint. And cards can have more than one type, so it can reduce 2 different types of cards by 2 colorless mana. The most obvious of these, of course, is artifact creatures, so suddenly your artifacts and your creatures are cheaper. So turn 1 Birds of Paradise, turn 2 Semblance Anvil, removing, I don't know, Palladium Mirror or something, turn 3 Baneslayer Angel, turn 4 Sun Titan. Would you be comfortable with that? However, cards like these give big rewards for scary downsides, such as a Mere Naturalize or the new Naturalize with a cantrip attached, Slice and Twain, can suddenly 2-for-1 you. Certainly a fragile card, but how does one protect it? Well, perhaps Indomitable Archangel can assist. This girl is the Leonin Abunis you always wanted. Suddenly she's flying and bashing for 4 instead of sitting back as a 2/5. But how do you ensure she's not just Doombladed out of existence? There's liquid metal coating to turn herself into into an artifact and giving herself Shroud. Now, Liquid Metal Coating is a card I like because it creates some fantastic interactions. Firstly, it gives you 66% of your Metalcraft requirements immediately because it can instantly turn something else into an artifact. But I think you have to be a little bit more creative. Remember when I said Planeswalkers are tough to deal with in this environment? How about turning them into an artifact and shattering them? In EDH, I can easily see people turning their opponent's basic lands into an artifact and splintering away the rest from their entire deck. Another possible fun favorite is turn Siege King Commander into an artifact and play Glenhawk and then pick it up and play it again. Fun times all around. More goodies? Grip of Darkness is awesome. It's the Super Last Gas Turbo Edition we've all been waiting for. How about Skin Render? That guy is such a limited powerhouse he might just make it into Constructed. I'll take a 3-3 while your Baneslayer Angel becomes a 2-2, right? How's about the new burn spell, Arc Trail? Not quite Arc Lightning, but a full mana cheaper and is still able to 2-for-1. I like it. Speaking of burn spells, check out Galvanic Blast, sure to be the hot new Burst Lightning-esque card in the new metagame. I'm sure whatever sick Koth of the Hammer decks show up will be featuring this one soon. And check out the metagame stopgap, Tunnel Ignis. Yeah, you go ahead and play that Cultivate on turn 3 after I dropped my Ignis. Take 3, bash for 2 more on my turn? Yeah, go get you some lands with Primeval Titan. You've already played one already, meaning you're taking 6 damage. Are those lands worth it to you? This is a very Kataki War's Wage-esque card, and that ramp decks, particularly those featuring the best Titan not close, were given a creature that can fully shut them down. Now, that isn't to say that Valakut ramp just scoops when their opponent plays Tunnel Ignis, but it's a bit more difficult winning with him on the battlefield. How's about another card that gets me all giddy? Genesis Wave seems like another Tooth and Nail. Resolving this for 6, which equals the 9 mana it costs for Tooth and Nail to resolve Entwine, means you should win the game. Ideally, you'll be flipping over Titans, probably the best thing you can do at that mana cost, though flipping over stuff like Precursor Golems or the sweet new Steel Hellkite and Wormcoil engine wouldn't be bad either. Not to mention the lands you flip over from Genesis Wave, yeah, they come into play untapped. Of course, Lotus Cobra is probably the first place your mind goes with this kind of deck anyway, and with good reason. Could Genesis Trap be a deck? Could Genesis Wave plus Summoning Trap equal good times for everybody? Imagine flipping over 2 fetch lands with a Lotus Cobra in play, plus whatever else you revealed, and using those 2 fetch lands to play the Summoning Trap you had in your hand. Seems good, right? Okay, a few more and I have to wrap this up. I love X-Champion and I think it's a fantastic card. Yes, it's just a Grey Ogre, but it's one incredibly hard to defeat Grey Ogre once you have Metalcraft active. Just stick a Darksteel Axe on this guy and go to town. Or how about a Sword of Body and Mind, finally ready to be unleashed on Standard? Better yet, how's about Argentum Armor, a card people are going nuts over because of its incredibly unique effect. +6/+6 and Vindicate on an equipment? This gets people looking seriously at Core Outfitter and of course the excellent Stoneforge Mystic. But how's about the fixed Skull Clamp Infiltration Lens? It turns out when you're not triggering your own ability with, another ability on the same card, the card isn't nearly as impressive. That said, aggro decks that want to bash face with no worrisome chump blockers will do well to pay attention to this card. And how's about the best flavor text in the set on Lux Cannon? There are a few problems that can't be solved by putting a hole in the world, folks. Hell yeah! Now that's what I'm talking about. The Mondo combos with Voltaic Key are fun times, and this should see a ton of EDH play. Man, so many fantastic cards to talk about, so many interactions and combos. I think that Scars of Mirrodin has some of the best rares and mythics I have ever seen. This set is chock full of fantastic things to pull out of packs. Time will tell if the commons and uncommons pick up the slack, and if this sealed format is going to push GP Nashville into absurd numbers. And finally, I turned 30 years old today. They say that your 20s are for figuring out what you want to do with your life, and I'm pretty sure I'm on the right course. I can't explain in a few seconds how much joy and appreciation I've gotten from the community by doing this show. I've switched careers, I'm flying all over the world, I have the most amazing friends and family. I couldn't have done it without you or StarCityGames.com. The real gift is being able to talk to thousands of Magic players every week and help contribute what I can to this community and this game. Awesome just isn't the word. So until next time, Magic players, when we'll discuss new decks for states happening next weekend, this is Evan Irwin, tapping the cards so you don't have to.
Always like the fatties.